Say to them, my life is your life. My joy is your joy. My utang is your utang. Love your enemies and pray for those who hurt you. Now, one renowned Bible scholar, William Barclay, he once said, there is no commandment of Jesus which has caused so much discussion and debate is the commandment to love our enemies, which is the heart of the gospel reading that we have just heard. Love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, and treat others as you would have them treat you. This was a very challenging command of Jesus. How can we love our enemies? It's easy to love our friends and colleagues. But those who have wronged us, it takes enough faith and courage to love them. I remember there was a university that sponsored a contest as to who could give the best definition of marriage. And when the entries were presented for judging, one entry reads, marriage, this is how the entry defines marriage. Marriage is the sleeping together of two mortal enemies. Mortal enemies, referring to husband and wife. We should understand, of course, from the perspective of the Bible, what is an enemy? Because in many and varied ways, we tend to generalize everything. If a person cannot pay his or her debt, yung utang, he becomes your enemy. The wife, if the wife always quarrels with her husband, time will come that the husband consider her or him as enemy. And that's why there is a joke that says, young people, you try to consider this before you decide to get married. There is a joke that says, when the husband and the wife keep on quarreling each other, they become mortal enemies. And that's why on the first year of marriage, they say, married life is just beautiful in the beginning. Because on the first year of marriage, the husband speaks and the wife listens. On the second year of marriage, the wife speaks and the husband listens. But on the third and on the succeeding years of marriage, both the husband and the wife speak and the neighbors listen because they are now enemies. Another joke says, before marriage, when the hand touches the hand of the woman, that is love. But after marriage, when the husband touches the hand of the wife, that is already self-defense. But what is an enemy? Or who is an enemy from the biblical understanding? From the perspective of the Bible, in the Jewish Christian or in the Judeo-Christian tradition, especially in the Old Testament, an enemy is the person who intends or persons who intend to annihilate or to destroy you. That is the enemy. If a person intends or desires to destroy you, to annihilate you from the face of the earth, or to wipe out your group or your community, then they can be considered enemies. And that's why in the Bible, the enemies of Israel were the Babylonians, the Assyrians, etc., etc. So yung mga kapitbahay na mga Marites, hindi iyan, strictly speaking, they cannot be called enemies because they don't intend to destroy you, to eradicate you from the face of the world. If you listen intently, the first reading gives us this is a very beautiful story between King Saul and King David, di ba? The first reading tells us that Saint Paul was trying to find Saul, not Saint Paul, King Saul was trying to destroy David. Diba? Because Saul considers David an enemy. And one time, while King Saul and his soldiers were asleep, David found an opportunity. He could have found an opportunity to slaughter him. But David did not kill Saul. He did not kill his enemy. That was the message of the first reading. Only those who intend to destroy us can be strictly considered as enemies. I remember one story also. There was a missionary who was being sent to Africa for a mission. And while he was preaching in the remote and far-flung areas of that mission territory, he lost in the wilderness. He was lost in the jungle. He could not find his way back to the missionary center, to the convent. And as he was gazing, all that he could see were wild bushes. And he could not find a way to go back to the convent. In just in a glimpse of an eye, there was a roaring lion waiting to devour him. Oh. And the missionary prayed hard to God, Lord, deliver me from the atrocities of this lion. I want to be saved because I still have a mission to fulfill. Lord, spare me from this disaster. I don't want to die in this manner. I don't want to be devoured by this angry lion. Angry and hungry lion. And then all of a sudden, the lion kneeled down. The lion knelt down. And the missionary thanked God. Lord, thank you for hearing my prayer. Because the lion bowed and knelt before the missionary. After which, the lion spoke. The lion turned its head to the heavens and said, Bless us, O Lord, and this thy gifts which are about to receive from your bounty through Christ our Lord. So the lion prayed the grace before meals, and it was ready to devour the enemy, the missionary. Now, if the message of the gospel reading for today centers on our love for our enemies and of being in good terms with everyone, even to those who have wronged us, what are the demands of Jesus as reflected in today's gospel? How can we love our enemies? From the vantage point of our Christian way of life and from the vantage point of the heart and mind of Jesus. I would like to share with you two important points for reflection in tomorrow's gospel reading. We can love our enemies, my dear friends, first and foremost, by praying for them. And that's why Jesus in today's gospel reading is challenging us. Pray for those who hurt you. Pray for those who persecute you. It's always easy to pray for our friends. It's always easy to pray for our boyfriends, for our girlfriends, for the success of their endeavors. It's always easy to pray for our mother, for our family. But to pray for those who have wronged us, to pray for those whom we consider as enemies, it entails adequate faith in a God who can soften our heart and who can grant us the gift of forgiveness. We should consider what the Lord is telling us. We should consider the pardon and forgiveness that the Lord is offering even to those who are unforgivable, unacceptable, and unlovable to us. That is what the introduction of the second reading is telling us. There is a quote from a contemporary author, Machona de Liwayo. He says, "Stars shine even for those who refuse to look up to the heavens." Again, and I quote, "Stars shine even for those who refuse to look up to the heavens." And Mahatma Gandhi added by saying, "Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong and not of the weak." So many people are afraid to pray for their enemies and to forgive them because they think, or we think, that forgiveness is a sign of weakness. But actually, only the strong can have the capacity to forgive. Yes, we always hear that maxim, forgive and forget. We can forgive, but we cannot easily forget. But the end of the day, we realize that forgiveness is the only way for us to get restored in our broken and tarnished relationship. Second and final point, we can express and show our love for enemies by doing good to them. By doing good to them. Father Timothy Radcliffe once said, he was one of the speakers in the Eucharistic Congress held in Cebu many years ago. He said, "Good works or good deeds done unto themselves are signs of hope." So, continue to do good, even to those people whom we considered as enemies, even to the people who are not in good terms with us. Continue to do good. If their lives are in danger, we have the moral obligation to secure them, to assist them, and to help them so that they may be restored in their natural dignity and in their inherent goodness as human beings. Do not be afraid to do good, because doing good to those people whom we considered as enemies is a sign of hope. There was this Boholano priest many years ago, a priest from Bohol, our colleague here. One time we had our retreat in Bangkok, Thailand. And we are required to attend our annual clergy retreat. And then, all of us were there. And one of the priests, that was his first time in going to Bangkok. That was his first time going abroad. And in our 5-day clergy retreat, 3 days are spent for prayer and meditation, reflections, because that is the heart of the retreat. And 2 days are allotted for tour. After the retreat, we had our tour, 2-day tour. Among the major tourist attractions in Bangkok, in Thailand, as many of you have been there already, are the huge temples, the Buddhist temples. And when you get there in the temple precinct, the temples are carpeted. You have to remove your shoes, slippers, or sandals, because that is part of our gesture of showing reverence to the sacred place, to their sacred places. And one priest bought a new pair of shoes, Nike, because that was his first time going abroad. When he was about to enter the main door of the Buddhist temple, he was told by the curator of that temple, of that Buddhist temple, "Sir, excuse me, shoes are not allowed inside." And that priest, Catholic priest, told the curator, "Can you guarantee that this pair of shoes, this expensive pair of shoes of mine, is safe here outside? There are many pilgrims and tourists are coming in and out. Can you guarantee that my pair of shoes is safe here?" And you know what the curator was telling to the priest? The curator said, "Don't worry, sir. There are no Christians here." So, Kristiyano pala ang mananakaw ng sapatos, no? So, continue to do good. That is our way of showing our love for enemies. Finally, dear friends, as we continue with our Christian journey, we cannot expect that we can be in good terms with all people, right? We may disagree in certain points. We might not be able to agree with them in terms of our principles and convictions. We disagree, we may have quarrels as far as our relationships are concerned, but at the end of the day, the command of Jesus in today's gospel reading is proven to be the most effective way in maintaining a good and harmonious relationship with everyone. Love your enemies. And how can we love our enemies? By praying for them, by forgiving them, and by doing good to them. This is our challenge. This is an arduous challenge for all of us, whether we like it or not. This is the way of Jesus, and this is the way of the gospel. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. A round of applause for everyone.